Hi there, it's Ina here, and well, I have these two books here I found at a thrift store just recently. I have absolutely no idea which company made these. They're sturdy cardboard pages with a ring binding. Now, this is fairly simple, and I think eventually I will be making a little photo book in this for my little grandson. But then the second one is most unusual. It has an opening page here, I presume, with two holes. I guess you can make a closure there. But then it has another one as well, too. Now, I just don't know if that is actually a mistake, or why would you have two opening pages? Not sure. And then the pages go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, of course, you have the back one, which holds it all together. So it's a bit unusual, kind of fun, with the two bindings, one on each side. Well, I switched to voiceover as this introduction got way too long. So here you can see me coloring some craft paper using powdered pigments and water to activate it. And after it's dry, I'm adding some stamping using my archival ink and two different stamps. This paper does not really has a continuous design on its own. There's a little bit which has lace, the rest has mostly blotches and lines and dots. But it's very nice paper. It feels more like fabric than paper, so all the water I put on it earlier really didn't hurt it. Here I'm adding a little more shading with my ink pads, a little more green, a little more yellow. And when that's to my liking, I'm adding a couple more little details. There's a little bit of golden texture paste just here and there to give it a little glow and a little shine. And I'm also adding some splatter from my Sharpie. And then when this is all dry, I cover all these pieces in glossy Mod Podge to get them ready for my journal. And that was my little dog, Millie, just visiting with me. So here are my papers. They're dry, they're all sealed, and I'm adding them to the journal very simply using mud medium. Now the back page or the back piece of paper is a tiny bit smaller than I would like it to be, but that's all I had left because these were all rest pieces. But it's okay. There is a couple millimeters on the top and the bottom a little bare. Now the side panels are bigger than they have to be, which means I can cut the excess with an X-Acto knife and get a very nice exact fit, which I prefer. So let's see, they're both on, and here you can see me taking excess off. And then of course, when I do the inside pages, which I still have to glue down, again, I will have to trim them a little bit. So, and of course, all this needs to dry really well. And here it is, all dry. And I prepared two doilies. I added some glimmer mist to these, a couple of gray colors and some pink. And I want to add them to these two front covers, and they go across the edge there. And for them to stick really well and to avoid bubbles, you really have to use your fingers and plenty of medium. I'm using the glossy Mod Podge again as I used it for the rest of the cover, and that makes it all kind of look the same. And it's a good glue and a good sealer at the same time. Here I'm marking where the second doily needs to go so they'll line up nicely. And then that one will also glue down, and it goes rather quickly. You just need to mold it a little bit. So here are some rub-on letters because I want to put the word journal on the left side of my cover. By the nature of the paper I used, the right side is a little busier, so I thought this would give it a nice balance. And I like the type of letters, the font in these rub-ons. I give it also a little sealer so those rub-ons don't rub off. And now I'm reopening the hole, first with a scissor and then with my crocodile. And I found this piece of artificial leather with the matching color. And I just make a very, very simple closure. Actually, in the beginning, I doubled up these ribbon pieces, and looped them through, but it made it too bulky and the little flaps weren't closing well. So now this looks much better. Now the inside, of course, has two more of these flaps, and I decided to close those holes. First, I added some punch-out holes to it with some glue. Then I added some gesso, and I gessoed the page as well, as you can see. And now I'm doing some decoupaging with some leftover paper I had from another project. Now the paper has beautiful color, but it wasn't big enough to fit over the whole page, or so I thought. So I ripped it apart and I figured I could do at least some framing and then use an image in the middle of the page. And that's why I added some color there. But you see at the end, I'm not using the color because it just didn't seem quite right. Instead, I picked all the little pieces from the piece of paper I started with, and it was just enough to cover the empty spots. So with the decoupaging you see me do here and the image I will add later, I was able to cover the whole page. Now, before I decided on using the little pieces, I had tried to cover the hole there with some extra color, but yeah, I just didn't like it. So here you see me just piecing together all the little bits to basically cover up the hole until my main image can fit just right. And I think it looks much better than if I would have left it painted in the middle. So I choose this image. It's just a magazine cutout, but I like the colors of it and I think it's complementary to the rest of the page. So I cut it in half and I added it to it, and of course make sure it matches nicely. And I think it just gives a nice effect there. So everything is tightly glued down, and here I'm using my brown Pitt pen marker to just go around the edges. Now it has a lot of medium on it, so I have a couple seconds to smudge this a little bit, but when that's dry it will be permanent. And here is my white Posca pen, also just to outline my lips, and then go around the edges just with a little white line, not very straight or tidy, just to give it a little more interest once all around, or maybe twice. And then I found this little quote, and it says, "Color changes everything." And I thought it was just so fitting. So I'm adding it to my front cover, again in two parts. And then I will be using some glossy Mod Podge to seal up the image and also the quote. And as soon as this is just about dry, I'm also adding a little bit of liquid glitter, especially to the lips, for a little bit of extra shine. Now these pages are so sturdy that I will be able to work on both sides, so this little journal should give me plenty of room for plenty more pages. So let me show you what we've done so far. Let's take one more look at my little journal, what I accomplished so far. The cover is done, the back side, the front side, everything is pretty simple. And I added quite a lot of sealer, especially to protect the doily and also the rub-on. A simple closure, and I was lucky to have this color on hand. Fits perfectly. So there's the inside, and you see the other part of the doilies. And here, of course, is a page we did together. Using paper, especially a couple of layers, really helped cover up those holes. And I really like the way this came out. I loved this paper, which was just wipe-up paper from a pour I had done. But the colors were beautiful, lots of turquoise and gold. And then this image I had forever in my stash. And I like the vibrance of it. And I think together it makes a nice statement page. And color changes everything, fits very well too, so I think. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some ideas. I won't open it any further as I've already done another page as well as the back sides of these, but I will show those to you in an upcoming video. Now these pages are not huge, even if I get a full-size page, because all the others of course are not cut in the middle. it is not a lot of room. So I think this would be again a perfect journal for mini pages to try out mediums or techniques, or just to play in when I don't have a whole lot of time on my hands. So I hope this gave you some ideas and inspiration. Thank you so much for coming and watching. See you soon again. Bye bye for now.